Dude, so I I took a quick break real fast and um went and made a snack and I was like, what do I have that I can make a snack real quick before I come in here? And fucking made some tacos real quick. I
Nice.
was like, oh, what do I have ingredients for? Oh, tacos. That's convenient, dude. So I just got like, those little street taco corn tortillas.
Yep.
And I had some like ground beef taco meat and some cheese, and I fucking microwaved it. And the whole time I'm just like, dude, we're about to like talk about some really good tacos, and I'm over here fucking microwaving.
I
these
mean, like
things.
we did that last week. It was the little dog's birthday, and so we defrosted some ground beef and made a couple little patties for her birthday. And then
Yeah.
but some of the center of the meat didn't defrost enough, so I just bagged it up, put it in the fridge, and it defrosted on its own. So we had about like half a pound of ground beef left. So I had some taco seasoning, seasoned it up last week. And then we did the same thing. We did potato tacos with the ground beef instead.
Yeah.
And then I think the next day, because we still had some left over, I made some more. It was pretty good. Today I made quesadillas with some leftover pulled pork. I still have like probably 4 pounds of pulled pork left. So,
dude, that's why I fucking love pork shoulders so much.
yeah.
Yeah. Dude, tacos are great, man. They're so easy. If you just keep taco stuff in your house, like you're always good.
We always have
No worries.
2 different sizes of tortillas. So
Oh, we'll stay out late to gastrobate and hang out with our friends. We'll share a few good microbrews, the good times never end. From seaside to the mountains, we'll travel many lands. Eateth of their pub cuisine and hear their local bands. We'll drink it from a bottle in a can or what's on tap. We'll rage brew as we do with fairness and a map. Spirits are up, we'll fill our cup, the wind is in our sails. We'll drunkenly mix metaphors and travel hoppy trails.
Welcome to Hoppy Trails, a show where 2 guys drink some beer and then come up with crazy food ideas and then we eat it.
I'm Nick.
I'm Travis, and today we're actually doing a little variation on our normal format here. We are doing pub bites or pub foods, and what we're going to do here is, basically we're going to take ordinary food items, we're going to come up with some kind of a twist, and then Nick and I are each going to make a variation, and then we're going to talk about it and see how it turned out. And so this is our inaugural Pub Bites episode.
Love it. Can't wait.
So Nick, what are we doing today? What is this that we're going to be working on? What did we make?
So it's I think we were tossing around names, and because we were thinking a twist on sliders, but then I was kind of over just the rolls myself. Don't get me wrong, I love Hawaiian sweet rolls, but
who doesn't?
We're so we ended up coming up with wrappers, just wrapping up a slider, or whether it's a burger slider or a pulled pork slider. So I think those are kind of the directions that we went in. I went with the pulled pork direction, and you went with the burger style. I kind of, after hearing what you did, I wish I was there in person to experience yours. Not to knock on mine, but yours sounded pretty amazing, and I'm excited for you to talk about it with everybody.
Yeah, no, it was really fun coming up with this, and as you said, we were kicking it around. We're like, man, what should we do? How should we start this off? And the funny thing is, it's real easy to say, yeah, man, we should do like kind of a variation on this. We'll come up with a crazy twist or whatever. But really, when it comes down to it, it's like, all right, well, how do you make a twist on certain things and make it where, the idea is kind of like, all right, well, is this something that we come up with that you could serve in a pub or a brewery or like that and people might like it? But yeah, it was a lot of fun coming up with this. So yeah, wrappers. It's what we came up with was it's going to be something that has to be like a non-taco item, but we're going to turn it into a taco style format. So it's got to be some kind of a wrap. Nick, you're the one who actually came in and we're like, look, why don't we do it this way? And I thought, brilliant. And yeah, parameters were, something that's not generally a taco. It's got to be enclosed in some kind of a wrapper. And, we didn't want to go with just the Mexican foods, right? You can't be like, oh, this is a burrito taco. But, of course, any sort of variation on a Mexican theme was fun. Nick, what'd you come up with? How'd you do this thing?
So, I mean, technically, mine was still a taco. It involves a tortilla and everything. It's folded up like a taco, but the ingredients kind of glue it together after some heat is applied to them. So I did something that's got involved smoked pulled pork, corn tortilla, a mixture of mashed potatoes and cotija cheese. And then just to add in a little bit of rabbit food, some shredded cabbage, and a little bit of salsa. So basically, I don't always have leftover barbecued meats on hand. So this last time around was I smoked something fresh. So I got a nice deal on a pork shoulder as usual. I think it was like $1.99 a pound, which these days it's still expensive, but at the same time, like $1.99 a pound for, I think it ended up being like a 9.5 pound bone-in pork shoulder. I mean, you can't go wrong. For $19, it literally would have fed like 25 people.
Oh yeah.
But
that's pork shoulder is always, man. What do we always say? If you got to feed a bunch of people,
pork shoulder.
Get a pork shoulder.
Totally. So I got that. I did my usual kind of checkerboard slicing across the fat cap on it. I'm the type that I like to keep that fat in there. I know smoke won't quite absorb as easily through the fat or at all. And that's where I go ahead and score it across the top like a checkerboard. And kind of get in deep below that fat line and open it up when I put on my binder and my rub, so that smoke can still kind of penetrate into sections of the meat that would normally be underneath that fat cap. And then in this case, I used a green jalapeno-based hot sauce. It's a brand I had never seen before. It was at the Mexican market. This is why I bought it. It came in a miniature water bottle with the little sport top. So I think it's called like Brava hot sauce or whatever. It's just a dark green color. And it's pretty good stuff. I'm glad I discovered it. I'm going to be going back and buying probably a couple bottles at a time. And so I use that as my binder on the pork shoulder. And then I use what I had left of my Spanglish Asadero chili verde rub.
Nice.
So you could kind of say, I know I'm trying to avoid the Mexican themes here, but it's like I couldn't just. It's been something I've been playing around with on pulled pork, kind of a Mexican style pulled pork rather than doing full blown fried carnitas. So yeah. Anyways, I smoked that for about 8 hours. Did it in a little cheap aluminum foil pan to keep all those juices in there. So when I shred it all apart, it's just basically bathing in its own delicious juices. And
nice. Very nice.
Yeah, shredded that up. My wife, she's quick with the assembly line work of putting together the basically the wrappers or tacos themselves. So basically it's just a little spoonful of mashed potato in the tortilla, pan fry, and a little bit of avocado oil in a pan. And like 20 tacos later, we were ready to eat. I mean,
beautiful.
Yeah. And at that point, they're very much kind of stuck together because the mashed potato and cheese kind of is all melted together, but you can kind of just peel them apart, load them up with the meat, put in your shredded cabbage, salsa, and go to town.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Tell me about the potatoes that you did. Are you doing just like kind of a traditional mashed potato?
I kept it super simple this time. And you're going to laugh. You'd be like, oh, how could you? Or I'm sure there's people out there that would be, but I kept it easy. Instant mashed potatoes. I'm a big, honestly, up until like, a couple years ago, I would always be like, no instant mashed potatoes, fresh only. But then I discovered the Idahoan brand of instant mashed potatoes. Dude,
yeah,
they make some great instant mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
You really can't go wrong with them. So even the plain ones, plain mashed potatoes, we just add in whatever we want. In this case, it was the cotija cheese, and it was pretty good.
Excellent.
Yeah. So Maybe next time I'll go fancy and do some mashed potatoes, leave the skin on, so you have a little bit more texture in there and everything. But instant also works very well.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, it sounds delicious. I mean, it gets the job done. Who was it on Food Network? I think her name was Sandra Lee or something like that. She had that show Semi Homemade. And it was like, look, pick a couple of things that you're going to do homemade. Pick up a couple of things that are already prepared from the store that are easy. Put together a really good meal in a shorter amount of time. You're
Exactly.
already putting those 8 hours on the smoker, brother, you know?
I mean, it is a Traeger, so it's not like I'm putting in too much work over it. So
The easy bake oven, baby.
it is.
Beautiful.
So what did you have for us?
So I went with the smash burger theme. You know me. I love my flat top. I love smashing balls of meat onto it. And so I went with what I was considering an upscale smash burger that was then going to be thrown into a pita. And so I called this the Brie and Fig Smash Wrapper.
Two of my favorite things put together.
Right? So I started off with a ground chuck, and I went to the market. What I generally like to do is go find a chuck roast. Go find one that's approximately the weight I need. Look for, roughly the fat content, because not every chuck roast is made equally, right? Some of them have more fat, some have less. So I go pick the one I want. I have the butcher grind it up for me, no extra charge. And so I started with that beautiful ground chuck, and then, brie cheese, fig jam, shiitake mushrooms, grilled onions all played a role in this. And one thing that I have started doing, and I figured this out from a recipe when I was doing gyro patties. So I was going to make gyros, but, again, making them on the flat top. So I did them into balls and patties. And one thing that I found out is a trick for gyro meat that worked out well here is you take an onion and a handful of cloves of garlic and you throw it in a food processor and get it all minced up real small. And then you wrap that up in like a tea towel or whatever type of towels you'd use for drying dishes. Wrap it up in there and squeeze it and squeeze all the juice out of there. And you get, that thing will shrink down to, a third the size of what it was. You get a lot of water out, but then you've just got these like drier, concentrated onions and garlic. You can add that into your meat mixture and really get a lot of onion and garlic flavor without adding a whole lot of extra moisture. So, got that in there, mixed that in. It absolutely lends a ton of flavor to the meat mixture.
Excellent. Wow, that is a great idea.
Yeah, and then Huey, when we do smash burgers, generally, I know you go for what, a 2.5, a 3 ounce ball, something like that.
Yeah, I keep it in the 2 to 2.5 ounce range.
Yeah, because generally what we're doing is we're smashing patties, stacking them 2, maybe 3 high if you're getting real hungry, and you do them that way. And so for this one, I actually went well above standard range. Because I was doing the pita, and I thought, man, I'm not going to be able to stack them. I may have to overlap the edges a little bit. So I went with 4 ounce balls of meat on this one. So definitely significantly bigger we would usually go. Big balls, big old swingers. And then on this one, I was using not my burger press, but I was using my steak press. And I got those from Royal Barbecue Fabrications.
Yes, I do. You got one? Yeah. I mine literally, I'm not always using my griddle, but like I still utilize both of them at the stove. Like just today when I was making quesadillas, I was using the burger press to just smash down those quesadillas. That works great.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for those. They were amazing.
Oh, absolutely, man. As soon as I got one of those, and I remember I sent you a picture and you're like, hey, where'd you get that? I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, you wouldn't give up the information.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, well, because I knew I was getting them for you. But they're great. They're really well made, super heavy. I use them for everything, weighing down sausages on the flat top, anything.
Totally.
And I'll tell you that steak press really came in handy with these larger balls of meat, getting those smashed down. And then shiitake mushrooms, those I ended up just taking the caps, giving them a quick rinse, hit them with a little bit of avocado oil, put them on the flat top, and I'd had my steak press just sitting on the flat top getting hot. So as soon as the mushrooms went down, steak press on top, counted to 30. Those things were perfectly sauteed.
Excellent. Do you have your last name in your steak press at all?
I
Or
do not. I do
okay.
not.
So it's
that
just
was
mine.
special customization
Appreciate
for
it.
you, my
Appreciate
brother.
it. I still haven't used it to press my name into a steak yet, but that's in the near future.
It's coming, man. If nothing else, set it on top of something, hit that with a torch, and
Totally. I might do that with some quesadillas. We'll see.
So that's how I did those. I did them on the flat top, and then the pitas, threw them down real quick, toasted both sides, and then half the pita I smeared with the fig jam, and then the patties, threw down some brie on top, and then threw those onto the pitas there, some grilled onions sprinkled on there, and then of course topped with those shiitakes. Fold them over, and those bad boys were ready to go.
Excellent. Man,
Yeah.
I love shiitake mushrooms. I haven't had them in a while, though, but that needs to happen again.
I'm telling you, man, I feel like not too long ago they were harder to come by, and then they were really expensive.
Like
and now
eggs.
they're becoming like eggs are today, but they're becoming so commonplace now that it's like, they're really reasonably priced. You can just grab them anywhere, and they've got such a unique flavor to them. You know what I mean? It really stands out.
Absolutely.
Well, so tell me, brother, let's break this thing down. How'd those tacos turn out? Break them down for me.
So like taste and texture. I know we were trying to avoid taco, but it was just I'll say very savory wrapper.
Yeah.
While it was pan fried, it wasn't to the point where they were crunchy. They still had a soft bite to them. If you biting into it, it's holding together. It's not going to crunch apart on you, and you lose half your wrap. The hot sauce binder. I mean, typically when you use a binder in barbecue, and I know there's plenty of debates out there saying whether they do any good or not, or if they make a difference at all. I still like the idea of it, especially when it comes to doing the hot sauce on the pork shoulder. This time, because the hot sauce on its own, it's definitely got like a nice kick to it. And that the flavors still kind of come through with the chili verde rub, and a tiny bit of spice, but nothing that's gonna be, it's not spicy for, the more sensitive palates out there.
And that's one of the great things about a pork shoulder is because a lot of the other meats, they're the surface area to mass ratio is very different, right? The pork shoulder is such a big, thick piece of meat that you really can't overdo it with your binder or your rub, because once it gets broken down, it's just in there. It's given, hints and flavors, but if you've got a flat piece of meat like, I don't know, like a skirt steak or something like that, you can really over season that pretty quickly because, your surface area is so much greater with respect to the whole mass there. So that's one of the great things about the pork shoulder. And
However,
it's why I've always said this is, if you're starting barbecue, man, pork shoulder's your starter meat.
However, if you end up using a boneless pork shoulder, be careful, because now you're able to, coat all sides of the pork shoulder before kind of tying it up into a big mass with that. But even when I've done that in the past, I don't think I've over seasoned it.
Yeah,
but
pork shoulder's it's a very forgiving meat.
Exactly. And so, and I don't know, I'm assuming we're going to be making an Instagram post with some of the pictures that we took of these foods. So everybody will be able to see, the scoring that I did in the fat at the end, kind of has a cool effect to it. And it's really nice because now that fat, there are little pieces, square pieces of fat on the top of it, where when you shred it all up, they're like little tiny nice morsels of charred seasoned fat that get mixed in, and it's heaven when you eat it. It's similar to like kind of that pork belly effect.
Yes,
like kind of a burnt
absolutely. Man, I'm telling you, anytime we're going to be talking about food, and you're going to be describing things like that, I need to just wear a bib. You know, I'm just over here salivating. It sounds so delicious.
I know it's not quite professional in your line of work, but you know, a beard does work pretty well as a bib.
Absolutely. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so I think what I liked best about it, they're very, very easy to produce. I mean, if you're not counting the amount of cook time for the pork shoulder itself, in terms of the assembly, you know, putting them together and everything, it goes by very quickly. I mean, just from if you add in a second person to that assembly line process, one person loading up potato, another person pan frying, like you can easily put out 20 to 30 tacos in under 20 minutes.
Excellent.
Or probably even under 15 minutes. And
what size tortillas were you doing? Were you doing like a 3-4 inch street taco, a little bit bigger? What size?
What were these? They're not the street taco size. These were probably about like a 5 or 6 inch diameter taco.
Nice.
Or a tortilla, yeah. Not like your giant ones, where I know before when we've done this in the past, we used what they dubbed as king size tortilla, but they weren't, you know, like the giant burrito size tortilla. They were still like usable for tacos. So it was like kind of like a king size taco type thing.
Okay.
And I think not that it didn't work out well, but I feel like, you know, using that king size tortilla for tacos is, you know, works a little bit better for this rather than the medium size that's between street taco and king size taco. So
yeah.
But yeah, you know, it just was a very easy process of putting together. There's no challenge to it. I mean, anybody, you could even, you know, within reason, you know, you could have, you know, the kids, if they're old enough to be around heat and everything, or you could even have a kid filling it up with, you know, spoonfuls of mashed potatoes helping you out. It's, you know, it's something that's fun that family can get involved with helping with, in making.
Excellent.
So
that, you know, and that's always good for a party, is being able to have something that people can participate in as well. It just brings everybody together and, you know, makes everyone feel involved, and it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's for me, that's the best part to cooking typically, is it's just fun.
Excellent. Well, tell me about a beverage with this, because I'm sure everybody wants to eat it, but we got to know what we're going to drink alongside it.
So it's not something that I would have normally gone with, but I forgot to bring some beers with me. And at the time, I just wasn't quite in the mood for a pale ale or anything. And my buddy had, because we did this at my buddy's house, they had some canned cider on hand from Towns Cider. Towns is located in Corvalis, which is just north of where I live, about 30 minutes away. Both their brewing production facility, and as well as they have a separate tap room, both kind of on opposite sides of Corvalis. But great place. They always produce amazing ciders. And so I had one of their flagship ciders, Bright Cider, which is made with Newtown Pippin apples. I liked it because, well, I ended up opting for a cider because I felt like this was going to be a pretty savory dish, which it was. I mean, pulled pork and mashed potatoes and, you know, starch and everything. I felt like, okay, let's kind of even this out a little bit. And so it was the cider produced a nice dryness, tiny bit of sweet to kind of balance everything out with the meal. It was just, it was very nice, and pleasant. And
excellent.
The food itself was heavy. The cider was not. So I wasn't in complete, you know, coma after eating.
Yeah, no, this cider, you probably know, I'm a dry cider guy. I like them tart. I like them dry. I don't like a lot of sweetness. Every now and again, one that's a little bit sweet is good, but there's some ciders out there that are just so sweet. It's just like, cloying, you know what I mean? Like you almost feel like you need to drink something after you drink the cider to kind of clear it. This sounds like you're saying this wasn't that. This is dry.
Very dry. Like it lives up to its name, Bright Cider. It just not very little sweetness to it. It's, again, the dry balances out what sweet exists there, and then but at the same time, the dry and little bit of sweetness balanced out, you know, the savoriness of the dish.
Excellent. Excellent. Sounds great. Okay, and you it sounds like you'd make this again, yeah?
100%. Who knows? Maybe it'll end up being a pop-up that we do one day.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, this absolutely sounds like something that you could do. You could be serving at a pub, as you said, at a party, and as a pop-up, why not? I mean, it's one of those things that you say, hey, we're gonna make we're gonna make 200-300 of these things. We're popping up at 12, and we'll go till they're gone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we continue, why don't we take a quick break for a trail report that was sent in to us by listener and trail mate Billy P. out of South Carolina. Let's see what he's been experiencing out there on the Hoppy Trail, and we'll be right back.
Cheers.
Hello, this is Billy with a Hoppy Trails Trail Mate Report. This past weekend, I was blessed to be joined here in South Carolina with my friends Carlos and Natasha as they traveled south from Boston. We started a day of revelry at Delaney's Irish Pub in downtown Spartanburg. There we sampled some brews picked by Hoppy Trails fans. We started with Wilford Brimley's Breakfast. This comes from nearby New Groove Brewery. It's a double mash extended boil imperial stout, and it's packing a punch at 11% alcohol. It's named appropriately, as we could probably use it over pancakes. It was so thick and sweet. It's made with maple syrup, coffee from the local Little River Roaster Company, cinnamon, and Ugandan vanilla beans. It's not for me personally, but somebody must like it. Next up was another 11%er. This was Dragon's Milk from New Holland Brewing. They come out of Michigan. So this was a bit more bearable, but it's still a bit too sweet for me. The color was absolutely beautiful with a nice thick head. You could definitely taste the vanilla and also the oak in this bourbon barrel-aged stout. From Delaney's Pub, we took a quick stroll over to Ciclops Cydery and Brewery. They have over 30 taps. They offer a lot of their own brews, but also host local and regional guest taps as well. In addition, one thing I love about this brewery is that they support our local artists. The wall behind the bar showcases over 100 ceramic mugs, and they're made by local oak leaf pottery. Mug Club members, as they're called, get their own numbered mug on the wall of shattered livers. Here we enjoyed a flight. That flight consisted of Prickly Pear Kulsch, Midtown Spartan Brown Ale, Nightmare Before Krampus 22 Brown Ale, Gargamel Raspberry Belgian Quadruple, and, sorry that I'm about to probably butcher this pronunciation, Ostrich Hefeweizen Wheat Beer. I'll say that none of these disappointed, although personally I'm partial to the brown ales, and Carlos favored the Kulsch. I do plan to go back, and on my next visit I'm going to brave the 14.7% Uptown Spartan Brown Ale, but I'm going to need someone to drive me home after that. After we struck up a card game with some newfound friends, Carlos and Natasha adopted 2 puppies, but that's a totally different story for a totally different day. So we decided to head back to Delaney's because Delaney's does allow puppies inside of their bar. And here we had the pleasure of a singer-songwriter night. And I settled in with my typical go-to, which is the Flat Tire Red Ale. This is coming from the new Belgium Brewing Company, and it's a certified carbon-neutral ale. So we had a really great day out on the Hoppy Trails. Thanks for joining us.
Do you often find yourself at the crossroads with no idea which way to go? Do you struggle with philosophical quandaries over the meaning of existence and your own mortality? Do you ever find yourself wondering who would win in a fight between the Ghostbusters and the Ninja Turtles? Then Ask Cody Cricket is the podcast for you. Join me, your eponymous and possibly anthropomorphic giant cricket, and let me be your guide through all of life's many struggles and questions. Each week, I give honest, thoughtful, sometimes funny, and hopefully helpful answers to listeners' questions. No topic is too irreverent nor too deep. From relationships to potato chips, it never hurts to ask.
Are you a new parent trying to find your way?
Or are you thinking of becoming a new parent and want to know what to expect?
Or do you not plan on having kids but just want to know what it's like.
Nobody without kids wants to know what it's like.
I'm Travis,
I'm Stephanie.
and we have just the show for you.
You, Me, and Squee is a new podcast where we explore the challenges of being new parents and everything we learn along the way. We'll talk about our experiences, different parenting philosophies and trends, giving our own perspectives, and talking about what worked for us and what didn't.
Let's face it, a lot has changed since our parents and grandparents were raising kids. So we're all kind of figuring out this new frontier for ourselves, and it can feel pretty lonely. So come join us for the journey where sometimes we'll laugh, sometimes we'll cry, but we'll always be real with you.
You, Me, and Squee. It beats listening to your childless aunt give her 2 cents.
Or any of your aunts, really. And we're back, and let me tell you, I am glad we had that break, because after listening to you talk about those smoked pork and potato wrappers, I definitely needed some time to go wipe my mouth and get all the drool off me so I can come back and continue talking into this microphone.
How about yours? I mean,
Yes.
brie and fig, you really can't go wrong. But I mean,
Yeah, it's true, man. Anybody who knows their way around a charcuterie plate has probably seen brie in combination with fig jam and other things like that. They definitely go well together. That like I said, that umami, right? The brie just brings that real just kind of umami flavor. The fig with that sweetness absolutely comes through. I think the shiitakes, which were a last minute addition, they were not a part of the plan. Okay, but then I'm at the store. I'm buying everything. I'm going through the produce aisle going, hey, I better pick up some blueberries for the baby or she'll throw a fit. And so I'm going through and I see, what's that over to the side? Some shiitake mushrooms. I thought, you know what? I'm going to grab these. I'm throwing them in. Executive decision.
if you
And
didn't, they would have
worked
been
out.
shiitake you.
That's right. They would have been shit talking me behind my back. But they ended up being like an amazing addition. I'm so glad they were in there. That fig jam, it added just a little bit of a sweetness that wasn't really so much there that you're like, ooh, these are sweet, but that just little bit that kind of brings that little extra dimension onto your tongue. So that was excellent. And again, balancing out with the shiitakes and the brie really brings just kind of a real full flavor to it. I will say there were a couple of things that didn't go as well as I planned. The pitas were not quite as large as I think would have worked out for this. Maybe next time I would have gone with a naan or something like that, or maybe even just a different size of pita. I grabbed what was at the regular grocery store. I've got a Greek market and a Middle Eastern market. That may have been better. But, it definitely worked for what we were doing. I think something that was maybe more of an oval or oblong shape that could have helped out as well. So I don't know. I'll play around with it. Realistically, one of the problems I ran into was my spacing on my patties, because I was making 12 patties and I started throwing them down and smashing them as you do. And usually when I'm doing smash burgers, because I'm doing the smaller balls, I'll do, on my 36-inch flat top, I will do from front to back 3 balls and then move over 1 and 3 balls. With these being bigger patties, I thought, okay, I'm just going to do 2, 2, 2, 2. I get down, to the end and I'm running out of space. So I'm having to go back and flip and move things over and try and get there. So definitely a practice run would have helped. And then, of course, in my haste, Nick, you know me, I'm a fan of the Oklahoma onion smash burger. And so the way I do it is I throw that ball of meat down, I grab a handful of sliced onions, throw it on top, and then smash that bad boy like that, smashing the onions in and everything. I straight up forgot to use the onions when I was smashing the burgers. I don't know what happened. I got like 7 patties smashed down, and I look over at my bowl of onions. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And it was too late. So, but I just, you roll with it, you adapt. Threw those onions on the side after I flipped the patties and just sauteed them up like you do on the flat top, grilled them up. And then, that steak press, like I said, heating that bad boy up, throw the shiitakes down, put the hot press on top. They were done in the blink of an eye. But yeah, next time I think the only other thing I would modify is instead of just putting the fig jam on half the pita, I would probably go the whole way around, just because I think it could have used a little bit more of that fig flavor to come in there, shine a little bit brighter. And that really would have just made these things, I think, next level for sure. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Can't wait to try them in person.
Oh, I'll tell you, man, I will make these again. And one of the great things about it is you throw these things in, you fold that pita over, and then you just cut that in half. So you've got some, those little kind of quarter pita sized triangles. And those are super easy. You grab one of those, you snack it, you come back later, eat something else. You know what I mean? You can share them. You can, if you're outside, you can just grab one and walk around. It's not a big thing you're carrying with you. So
awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
That kind of gives me some ideas for other things. Because you said like triangle size, and I'm thinking like, like those pita chips.
Yeah.
Maybe potentially even turning in that whole brie fig and smash into kind of like a melty brie dip.
Yeah.
With pita chips. Oh. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could definitely do that kind of like a chopped cheese, right? Where you smash the patty down to begin with and then chop that sucker up, mix it in with some brie. And
I'm a sucker for a chopped
fig.
cheese.
Who isn't, man? Who isn't?
That might need to be a pub food segment at some point.
Absolutely, man. Dude, we can make variations of that, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
So here's what I'm throwing in for the beverage to go with this bad boy. There is a town in Washington called Leavenworth, and they used to do an Oktoberfest that was just absolutely insane. This whole town.
I know you got to experience. Sadly, they just stopped doing it. I think this past year.
They stopped doing it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we went maybe 3 years, and it was great. We thought, oh, this is going to be our tradition. Then they stopped doing it. But they've got this brewery there called Icicle Brewing, which is a super cool place. We've had a lot of fun there. They don't have a huge variety of beers, but they do have a pretty good variety. And they've got this one called Kickstand Pale Ale, and it's your American Pale Ale style. And one thing I like about it is it's pretty light generally. And I mean, you know me, I'm not looking for a beer that's too malt forward.
Yeah.
Unless it's that style where that's really what we're looking for. But this is one where it's not super malt forward. It's nice and light. It's got a little bit of bitterness, which goes really well with kind of cutting through the brie and the fig jam. So it brings this kind of third dimension to it. And then it's got a little bit of Citra hops in there. So it brings that little bit of kind of citrus flavor and aroma to it that just, I don't know, man. It goes really well with the fig when you might not think that it would. But excellent beer. Pairs perfectly. I would highly recommend it. Yeah.
Awesome. Does Icicle distribute outside of Washington, or
no?
How did
I get my hands on some of those beers?
Yeah.
Well, I can't really tell you that, Nick. Otherwise, I'd have to kill you. Yeah, no, no, you can't get those. I mean, really anywhere. You can get them from the brewery. I think there's a couple of places around there that you can get them, but otherwise, no, they're not even distributed very far.
Got it. Okay.
In Washington. But I'll tell you what, man, we can make a trip out there. Leavenworth has, last time I was up there, I think 5 breweries. So we can absolutely make a trip there.
Absolutely. No, that would be a great trip.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
So, would you make this again?
Oh yeah, I'd absolutely make this again. I think if we have a party in the future, I would definitely be making these. I'm gonna need to run a couple of practice runs so I can get my flow down a little bit better. There's nothing worse than trying something for the first or second time. When it's the big day and you got a bunch of people waiting on you. So, but yeah, these are definitely good parties.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I always have that feeling anytime I have more than 4 or 5 people over and I'm using the griddle, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm done. Like it went by super fast.
Yeah.
And I stress out about it because it's like I have to make sure everything little thing is in place, and I kind of map everything out in my head before I start cooking to make sure I have everything where I need it for a good flow. And then I always end up forgetting at least 1 or 2 items or whatever. And I go running inside the house while, food is sitting on the griddle. But, No, it's still a lot of fun to me. I love using the griddle. I need to use it more often. But,
Love it.
yeah.
And, it's funny because before I got the flat top, I was almost everything on the smoker. Or, I'd have the grill going, but the grill I'd be using with indirect heat, or I'd be using the rotisserie or something like that. And so going from those styles of outdoor cooking then to the flat top, it's like, man, so much of this stuff is get it going, go check on it a little bit later, and just kind of like that. Versus with that flat top, man, once that thing's hot, you're going.
Yes.
You're doing a bunch of stuff in a short period of time, and then you're done, but you've got to be on it.
I'm always, anytime I can watch somebody work a griddle, I will just stand there and watch in awe just all the, beautiful things that they're doing. And I like seeing each person's different workflow of how they work on a griddle. But
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, the first time I saw you had your Blackstone going, and oh man, you know when it was? I think it might have been after Epidemic. Was it after Epidemic?
I think you guys
I don't know.
came up for my birthday. Was it that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Yep. That's right. And then you smoked a couple of, I think you smoked some ribeyes, and then you finished them off on the griddle. Do you remember that? You finished them off on the flat top?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. That was outstanding. It was that day I knew. I had to get a flat top. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's funny. I bought a 36-inch Blackstone griddle purely so that I can do reverse sear on steaks that I put on the Traeger.
Yeah.
I told some people that, and they're like, "You're crazy. Why not just use a frying pan?" I was like, "Yeah, but what if I have to do 4 steaks? I don't want to do like 1 steak at a time in the pan, and now it's getting cold and everything."
That's right.
Everybody deserves to get their steak all at the same time.
I'm telling you, man. When I got my flat top, I also replaced my smoker, and I got the, what is it? The
Camp Chef
Woodwind, or the Camp Chef. But which one is it? Like the Woodwind is the series, or
yeah, you have the Woodwind. It's a pellet grill, and then I can't remember what their griddles are, but
and so I got their 36-inch griddle, and then I got their, largest model smoker. And I'm setting these things up, and I'm just looking at them. And as I'm putting the smoker together, I'm like, God, I could get inside of this thing. This thing's big. But at the end of the day, man, it's like, all right, well, if you're doing a party, you don't ever want to be sitting there without enough space.
Yeah. And that's why I'm actually, one of the smokers I'm considering or looking at is the newer Camp Chef. It's the Woodwind Pro 36, and it's got like 1,300 square inches of rack space on that smoker.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Because right now the one that I have has, without the little puny top shelf that's barely usable, it's total including that, it's 885 square inches. And usually when I am doing smoked meats, it's at least 2 of something, whether it's 2 briskets or 3 or 4 beef bone racks, or so.
Well, and Nick, you remember we did not so long ago. We did pig head tacos, and for anybody who just said, "I'm sorry, I think something happened, I misheard," you did not mishear. We did pig head tacos. We got some fresh pig heads from a local person who raises pigs. We did tacos, but you remember that was on my tiny little Traeger.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to stuff those 2 pig heads in there, and they barely fit.
But they fit.
And, oh, they fit. We got it done. But you know what I mean? You don't want to be in there when you close the lid and your meat's touching all 4 sides. You want to have something where you can feed everybody. You don't have to use a shoehorn to get it in there.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, those were delicious.
Weren't those good?
Yeah. If anybody out there hasn't tried some form of meat from a pig's head, you need to make that happen. You need to change your life.
Oh yeah, so much good stuff, man. The cheeks, the jowl. I mean, there's all kinds of good little bits all over that. I know it sounds a little crazy when you first hear about it, but look, man, it's all the other parts of the animal aren't any less crazy, right? We eat those, so
exactly. Same thing goes for beef. Like if you've ever had beef tongue or beef cheek,
oh yeah,
go out and find some place that does it. Typically, you'll find beef tongue on sometimes taco trucks. It'll be
Yeah.
called lengua. Some of the best, most tender meat you will ever have. Just melts in your mouth. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. 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 No, absolutely amazing stuff. You got to be adventurous, get out there, try some stuff. Just because it's not standard in our culture doesn't mean it's not good food, right?
Exactly. I mean, with smash burgers, one of the quintessential ingredients in a smash burger is pickles, bread and butter pickles. You know me, I haven't liked pickles. I just never liked pickles. And for a while there, at our favorite smash burger pop-up in San Jose, I would always ask, no pickles. And then one day I was like, you know what? Give me the pickles.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed it. And I realized that he didn't take it as an insult, but I felt like I was insulting the chef that came up with that particular smash burger, because that was, one of his core ingredients. And I felt like after the fact, I was like, man, I was kind of a dickhead for always asking for no pickles, because that's his thing.
Yeah.
But no, and
he wasn't just some dude who's out there, by day he's flipping pancakes at Denny's, and then by night he's making the same quality food with these smash burgers. He really, he put a lot into this, right? From the particular buns that he used to the particular bread and butter pickles that he used. That's it. This is what we're seeing with this craft
even
food these days.
The meat, locally sourced, grass-fed beef, everything. I wish he was still operating, but more to him. As best of luck to him on his future endeavors and everything. But his smash burgers are something else, and something that I still try to replicate to this day and don't even come near anywhere close. So
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have to do an episode on smash burgers. I know you and I have similar but different variations, and so we'll have to do an episode on that. Everybody loves smash burgers. If you don't, it's probably because you just haven't had one yet. Excellent. Well, so this was our inaugural episode of the Pub Bites. And I think what we need to do here is ask listeners, come up with something unique, something that's a twist, something that you think, man, if this were on the menu at a pub or my local brewery, or was at a food truck outside, I would definitely have to try this out. Come up with it. Shoot us an email. Let us know, kind of what the parameters are. We may make a couple of modifications. Nick and I will each take our own spin, our own variations, and we'll try it out. We'll let you know what happens.
Bring it on.
Ha ha ha. Nick, how can people get a hold of us?
You can go to hoppytrailspod.com.
Yes.
There you can find a variety of ways to follow us, listen to us, and even reach out to us directly to us via email.
Excellent. Yeah, we would love to hear from you. Definitely subscribe to the show. That way you never miss an episode. We're firing these off every 2 weeks, Friday mornings, every other Friday. Let your friends know. Share it around. Hit us up, like Nick said, wherever you can find us. We're on all your podcatchers. And, Nick, any final thoughts on this? Anything you want to weigh in?
No. Just no. Definitely excited to do more pub food episodes. So please send in your ideas on twists of pub food that you'd love to see. Challenge us. Let's take it to the next level here.
Absolutely. We love to cook. We'd love to try your idea. Nick, we've got some fun, exciting things coming up. You and I and our good friend Fox, we're going to be making a little journey here, a little road trip.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
We're going out to Bend, Oregon. It's
Bend,
I guess you could say it's my bachelor party, but I'm already married. It's a long story. I'll explain it in another time. But it's just a nice little guys road trip just on a weekend. So we're going out to Bend, go explore some breweries out there. I haven't been out there in a couple of years. I'm sure Travis hasn't been out there in a couple of years.
Long time.
It'll be a good time and nice to have the two of you guys together. So
absolutely. Yeah. We'll check out some breweries. We'll get some new content. We'll let everybody know what's out there. We'll have Fox on as a special guest. It'll be a lot of fun, and it'll be some good stuff to listen to in the near future.
Hell yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we're going to wrap this one up. Everybody stay safe out there, try some crazy foods, drink some good beers, and remember, always say yes to the Hoppy Ending.
Cheers.
The preceding podcast was produced by Sequoia Productions, LLC, copyright 2022, all rights reserved. If you enjoyed this show and you're looking for more, or even if you're looking for something a little different, check out the other amazing shows by Sequoia Productions, wherever you get your podcasts, or on sequoia.com.
Hoppy Trails to brew until we drink again. Hoppy Trails to brew. Keep sharing with your friends. Who cares about which IPA tastes better? ABV are just a couple letters. Hoppy Trails to brews until we